We're back. We're going to continue this discussion on how do we get our people involved in the electoral process.
But no, I mean, why not be involved? That's the frustration I have with our people. You know, they can sit on a corner or sit out there and criticize.
It's not cool. Why isn't it cool in our community?
You know, this is the frustrating part about it. You know, because it's like you can't connect the dots. You can't, you know, put the puzzle back together. And if you look at what Dr. King was doing, Dr. King was empowering us politically.
Of course.
So we would have that ability to control our own destiny. And just because you may have been born in poverty does not mean you have to live in poverty.
Dr. King was talking about the Vietnam War.
Dr. King was talking about the Vietnam War. Dr. King was talking about other things that control the plight of men and women here in this country.
Montgomery boycott.
Until we wake up and realize that, you know, you can make a difference. A difference can be made. You may not see it, and our problem is that we lack the vision. You know, and the lack of vision comes from the lack of faith. Mm-hmm. We tend not to believe that just because we cannot see it and touch it, and it's tangible, it doesn't exist. We talk about education. We talk about the spiritual well-being of men and women. You know, and going back to Dr. King, one of the most important components, the institutions in society that help us sustain from slavery up until today has been our relationship with God, our relationship with those churches, the religious institutions. They are the ones that led the momentum. Too, we talked about the Voting Rights Act.
Yes.
We talk about Martin Luther King. That was the church movement.
Yes.
That stood up.
It's not here anymore.
The church movement is here. The church movement is here, but there has been a disconnect with people.
But the young kid on the corner.
And their religion.
But there's a disconnect with the young kid right there on the corner of Nostrand Avenue, where the soapbox preachers, they used to preach outside. Malcolm, everybody was outside preaching.
Everybody was preaching outside, but people are saying, you know what? That preaching ain't going to put food on my table. That preaching is not going to put a roof over my head. It will be if you understand the teachings and understand the thoughts that can build the foundation for you to translate into being a meaningful person in society.
But we have to get our people to understand power. You're the minority leader, you were the majority leader, responsible for a $130 billion budget. Mm-hmm. That's power.
That's a lot of power.
That's power.
But
and when you walk down this street on Fulton and Nostrand here, did people recognize who you were? No. Think about this here. Our people, right here. Mm-hmm. I tell my coworkers, I'm getting ready to meet with the senator today, this man is responsible for a $130 billion budget. And our people, you can walk right down the block and they have no clue.
Well, you know, it's partly, but it has changed. The level of political involvement has changed because of Martin Luther King. Now we look at President Obama. You have a lot more people of color, and just people in and of itself, young people, paying attention to politics and the role it plays in this country. And let me just go even further now. The role politics have played in the dismantling of those countries, such as in Egypt. We talk about Libya. Now,
Gaddafi.
We talk about Gaddafi. And you know what changed?
The people was a movement.
The democratic principles of democracy.
Exactly.
Because you know what happened? People, they were always concerned. The Middle East, they were always concerned about Western influence. Mm-hmm. Because with Western influence, that means you have a choice. You have an option.
And Egypt didn't want to hear it no more.
They didn't want to hear it.
They like that.
Basically, it was closed-minded. But with the advent of the internet and all this information, people started comparing their lifestyles. I'm an educated person, degrees, master's degrees from universities, but I have to live in squalor? Why is that?
Yes.
While those, the kings and the prime ministers, are living lavishly.
In palaces.
In palaces.
That was Obama's Arab Spring
what
speech.
is wrong with that message?
Okay, with that, Occupy Wall Street.
Occupied. You know what? Occupy Wall Street changes the political dynamics.
Occupy Wall Street.
Occupy Wall Street changed the way elected officials did business.
Okay,
Sure did.
but I wanted to see my elected officials of color stand strong and put Occupy Wall Street in a position to say, guess what? I'm going to do like the Tea Party did. I'm going to lean to the Democratic Party. I was hoping our New York City, New York State delegation, people of color, would have taken a very big part. One of my producers, Ted, right there, was one of the first people of color out there on Occupy Wall Street on a continuous basis. He's been there from day 2. I have so much footage of this here that I couldn't get him out of from Wall Street. Every day he has committees, but I wanted my people to say, look, I'm out here, I'm with you, I'm here every day, and we're gonna take the lead on this.
We were out there. You know what? Quite a few of the members were out there, but we did take their lead. That's why we got a fair tax code.
Okay.
If you look at the tax code that was enacted in December, the Republicans said they're not raising taxes. Period. They're not raising taxes. But you know what? Because of that movement, because of giving us the strength that we need, the Republicans moved and they raised taxes. I don't care how they put it. They raised taxes.
This state Senate Republican has folded a little something, even on gay rights.
You know what?
They folded.
If you look at the agenda that was passed, somebody would say, you know what? It was a very progressive agenda. It had to be the New York Senate Democrats in control pushing this. You know what it is? The bottom line, the Republicans are just concerned about staying in power. They will sign pledges. They will tell you what they want to hear, but do something totally different. That's the Republican Party.
In 1 minute, Ted is giving me the signal. In 1 minute, tell us the accomplishments of the Democratic State Senate.
You know, we have
Senate as a whole.
You know what we have accomplished. You know, if you look at last year, closing a $10 billion budget deficit. We talked about passing marriage equality. If you look what we also did, a fairer and more equitable tax code. We provided tax breaks to the middle class and the working class people. Those are things that we have been doing last year. The year before that, when we were in the majority, we closed another tremendous $1 billion budget deficit. We have laid the groundwork and the foundation for the economy to go on an uptick in
20
New York
seconds.
City instead of a downtick. So our vision and our purpose, my conference's purpose for this year, is the creation of jobs, dealing with the women, dealing with their issues and making sure it's more fair and equitable for them, but at the end of the day, making sure that there is economic and educational justice and stabilization to allow every single child the ability to be the next president, the ability to be the next Bill Gates, but most of all, the ability to be a provider for their family so the legacy can continue, as Dr. Martin Luther King once said.
2012.
It's about judging a person not on the color of their skin, but the content of their character.
2012, John Sampson, attorney, minority leader of the state Senate, said he's taking back the Democratic Party.
November 6, 2012, we're going to take it back.
We're going to take it back. We out of here.